So, what we're going to talk about today, honey, is Trump removing a historical photograph of a black man that probably was a former slave. It's a very popular picture. I'm going to insert it here. As you can see, the whips, the many whips on his back. This is a historical picture. I remember seeing this everywhere in textbooks, on the internet. This is like a stamp for Black history and American slavery. And I hear that Trump has removed it. So I went to my good friend, www.google.com, and this is what it had to say. And I said, are we going to talk about this tonight? Hello. Molly says hello. Molly's my new, video partner. So, and it's the cool, the racial tension. We all got children, so just relax. But I wanted to address this because I am a Trump supporter. And I was a big Trump supporter. Then I said I was going independent. But then I looked and I was looking at Trump and I was like, you know what? He looks like a good man. He just needs to be saved. Yes, he's arrogant. He's very prideful, but he needs to be saved. And he looked like he was kind of stressed. And I was like, maybe he's sick. So I was just like, Lord, cover him. Keep his life, keep sickness away and everything bad. Save him and use him for your glory. And now, the reason why I want to address this as well is because I don't agree with everything he says and everything he does. And this would be one of them. And as a Black conservative, I thought I'd give my perspective on why the heck would you remove this? And this is when I think sometimes conservatives go too far. Yes, I'm a patriot. Yes, I think this is the best country ever. I'm also just getting close to my Nigerian roots, and I want to visit Nigeria as well as South Africa. So I have much love for the African content because at the end of the day, I am African, but I'm American by culture. But at the same time, I am American by culture. This is my country. I get that they want to make America great again and all this. But my critique is you can't erase history. Slavery happened. It was horrible. It's a part of Black history. You can't erase that. Now, going forward, it's not an excuse for us to be racist as far as Black folks or hate white people or say we can't make it because a white man's holding us back or his foot's on our neck. That's a lie. But then on the flip side of that, to just try to erase Black history and act like slavery never happened, well, that's not good either. And I think those are the two extremes. The Black liberals acting like the white man's holding them back for everything. And then sometimes conservatives are trying to make everything look like it was so peachy and so perfect when at the end of the day, the founding fathers did help found the nation. We're grateful for them. But at the same time, they had slaves too. So stuff wasn't perfect. Stuff wasn't peachy. And it's okay to acknowledge that it wasn't. And to still love your country, but to acknowledge the ugly truth that was always so often swept under the rug. And this is one of those things. So to try to hide our history and try to hide this beautiful piece of Black history, not because it was a good thing that he was whipped, but because it showed us insight into what our ancestors went through and his strength and his endurance, that's not what's up. That's where conservatives go wrong and trying to make everything so perfect and everything so peachy. And slavery happened. That's our history. Leave that there and let's move on. But to take it away, that's the bad part. The Trump administration has ordered the removal of the Scourged back, a historic photograph of an enslaved man showing severe whipping scars on his back from at least one national park. The other source says, removing, Black history pieces or art as well as Native American pieces from multiple national parks. And it says this was done in an effort enacted under a March 2025 executive order signed by Donald Trump titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. The order details the Interior Department to eliminate information deemed to be corrosive ideology that disparages historic Americans. Now let's address that. But before we do, I guess some people were saying he removed it from the White House. I Googled that and it said, no, he didn't remove it from the White House, but he removed it from one national park. And then another source said multiple national parks, as well as other Black art, historic, pictures dealing with slavery and Native American history. And I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. Don't do that. It happened. And it's okay to acknowledge that it happened. It's okay to acknowledge, hey, some bad things happened. This is still a part of our history. And you can still be a patriot and still love your country, but everything wasn't good. Unfortunately, this happened. It's okay to acknowledge that and leave it there, and to be respectful to that community and to keep it moving. And then on the flip hand, it's okay for us to forgive, be respectful, and keep it moving. Because it's 2025. We should forgive and we all should be loving and all this stuff. But it happened. But we shouldn't be hating each other or whatever. So I think it can be extreme on both sides. And I addressed that. But they didn't remove it from the White House. It said a national park. Another source said multiple African-American art pieces or pictures in Native American and from multiple national parks. I don't know which one it is, but it didn't say the White House, because it's going around that it's being removed from the White House. Now, so it says in order to eliminate corrosive ideology. I think they're thinking that this is woke ideology. It's like, no, sir, this isn't. Do woke people take slavery and stuff that happened in the past and bring it into now and use it as an excuse? Yes. But that itself, that is a stamp, that is a timepiece stamp for Black history and for American slavery, specifically Black African-American slavery. And to just erase that and say, oh, well, this is woke or this is ideology that's pushing racism in kids. No, this is a part of American history. This is what happened. The founding fathers had slaves. Thomas Jefferson literally had a underground tunnel built to go to the mulatto Sally Hemings' little quarters. He had a little tunnel that he would go to just to go to her quarters alone. A lot of them had slaves. Most of them had slaves. So we can't act like it was built on perfection. We know it wasn't. America was built, a backbone that grew the American economy was blacks picking cotton, tobacco, sugar cane, specifically cotton. And then the the sharecropping farms. My granddaddy had to drop out of first grade in Noonan, Georgia back in the early 1900s to pick cotton. And he was just in the first grade, just a little boy, to be on one of those sharecropping farms. We can't erase this. We can't erase that slavery happened, that the killings happened, that the whippings happened. This is a part of Black history. It's a part of American history. And you can't just say, oh, no, this didn't happen. This is a perfect country. You guys are making us look racist. No, that did happen. It was a time of racism. It was a time of hate. It was a time where blacks were treated were killed, were beat, were raped, that happened. And it's okay to acknowledge that and to acknowledge that it wasn't right and to move on and say, but we're in a better place today. Hopefully we can get along today and be God's children today. But to acknowledge that, hey, even some of the founding fathers were not right. Most at the time at the time of the founding fathers and the 1800s up until slavery was over, 1865, even to afterwards, blacks were getting killed. I'm just learning about the peonage system, the prison system, where they were basically putting blacks in prisons. You've seen the movie Life? It was kind of like that, but they were accusing them of crimes and then saying they owed a fee, and if they couldn't do it, they would put them in these prisons so they can basically still pick cotton. So it was just another form of forced labor and slavery. So this stuff happened, and to say it didn't is a lie. It's unfair. It's unjust. It's trying to make it seem like the country was perfect and peachy, and it wasn't. The country was founded on God. The country was founded on biblical principles, yes. But in that as well, slavery was not right. Slavery happened, and that was not okay. I do believe that even in our suffering, God used that to draw Black people to him and away from our strange gods that we had in Africa. Because most of us, even though Christianity could have been over there, well, the truth is most of us weren't Christians. We bought voodoo and stuff over here. That's just not them making that up. That's why it's still in Louisiana. That's why a lot of these slave houses are haunted. And they say it's haunted by the slaves, but it's demonic activity because they bought voodoo over, because the white folks at the time, they killed them, they raped them, they tortured them so much that the Black people did voodoo in retaliation. They stole them from Africa. Black folks didn't know what to do, so they did voodoo against them. And this is why I believe that, I don't agree with it, of course, but I believe that God used slavery to draw us to him. It was wrong, it was evil, but he used us to turn us away from those wicked ways, to humble us, and to get us in a desperate place to know that God. They may not have been right, but the word is right. He's perfect, and can't question God, because he can use evil and he can use anything to bring about his will. And all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. Never said it was okay. Never said it was good. It was evil. But I do think in that oppression, we was brought to Christ, blacks, African Americans. However, I think Trump, if he's doing this, what he's saying he's doing, removing his picture from the national park, as well as anybody else's history, including Native Americans, it's not okay. This stuff happened. You can't remove it. It wasn't a perfect country. It wasn't like it wasn't built on blood being shed, These things happen, and some people saying, well, it had to be conquered. They were conquering, these people were conquering before the white man got here. Native Americans were killing each other and killing other tribes, and people was conquering and conquering. Well, I guess that's a cycle of life, but we can't act like it didn't happen, that blood wasn't shed, that, land wasn't stolen, that these things, that blacks weren't whipped, weren't raped, weren't hung. It happened. We built the railroads. We built the countries. We were mistreated. We were killed. We were hung. We were raped. Families were torn apart. We can't act like that's not a part of history. We know it's a part of black history, but it's a part of American history. America was built on the backs of black folks. Black mothers, pregnant, picking cotton still. Just gave birth. They put them right back in the field to pick cotton. Sun up to sun down. Got to do the same thing as the man, maybe a little less. There was no mercy unless you had a master that was a little bit more lenient. It wasn't a good time to be black, and you can't erase that from our history. So I have to say, as a black conservative and a Trump supporter, I disagree with this. I just want to let my voice be known, because a lot of MAGA and a lot of black conservatives, they just think that it's just like a cult. Sometimes they got to agree with everything he does, even when it's not right. And I think it's important to speak out and be like, no, yeah, I support him, but I don't support everything he does. And this is one of those moments. I still pray for him. I pray that black bishops, specifically Pentecostals, because I'm apostolic Pentecostal, and the Kojic, stop hating him, stop being prejudiced against him, even if you feel he's prejudiced. And ain't no way he's not racist, selfish, arrogant, yeah, prideful. He's not racist. But even if you feel that way, can you not pray for him? The Bible says pray for him. He's our president. He's leading this country. God can save anybody. Just like he used Cyrus. He humbled Nebuchadnezzar, but he used Cyrus to do his will. Cyrus wasn't saved. Trump isn't saved, but God can use him. He kept him for a reason to use him. Doesn't mean everything he done is right or is going to do, but he has done some good things. He's cleaning up the illegal immigration. He's getting the fentanyl off the borders, the drugs. He's getting the economy back. He's doing his thing with the other countries. He's stopping the terrorism, the nuclear attacks, all the nuclear attacks, like the stuff from the, what do you call that? He put something in NASA in Alabama or something where it protects us from enemies' attacks, like up there in the solar system or something. Like all this stuff nobody would have thought about. Kamala wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known the nuclear attacks from these other countries that can come, from the sky, the solar. I don't know how to explain exactly what I'm trying to say, but Trump is a businessman. He's very intelligent, and he knows how to protect us from those threats that Kamala would have known. We wouldn't have known. He knows about those things. And so they put NASA or something in Alabama just about 2 days ago or something to protect us from these global threats and our enemies and all that. But not just that, the man is working on the economy. He's getting the taxes. He's getting it where the other countries aren't just pimping us for our money, but now, they got to pay us, and he's protecting us. The man is protecting us. The border is better. He's trying to get the prices down. They said he got the eggs down. I know they getting the taxes better for the rich. Hopefully it works out for the poor as well. But it's looking like it's a safer country for sure. He's trying to get Chicago underway. I know Washington was bad a month or two ago. He got that dealt with, the crime in Washington. And he's trying to work on Chicago and other parts. But I feel like he really does care about the people, even though he's prideful and he's a businessman. He really is trying to make sure the American people are in a healthier place. But this is one of those moves where it's just kind of like sometimes what conservatives do. Sometimes white conservatives to just cover up for the past, just to be like, oh no, the woke is going to use this and claim that we're all racist and we're all white men and we're tired of it. And we don't want this anymore. This never happened. Well, it did happen. You can't change the past. We can only change the future. We can only change the future, and we can only go forward from here and work on the present. But we don't have to like try to erase something that happened in the past just because it was ugly. We should just be able to acknowledge it and move on and try to make the world a better place. It wasn't a perfect world. America was not perfect. Slavery existed. Slavery was horrible. The evils of slavery were horrific. 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 The plantations tell the story. It's demonic activity. Those aren't slaves. It's demonic activity because of the voodoo. That's what they did in retaliation. You know, what happened, happened. Thanks be to God that we grew. A lot of us turned to Jesus Christ. He is the answer. And he's not the white man's God. You could say he's a white man's God. He's a white man's God. He's a black man's God. He's a red man's God. He's a God of Israel. He's Jewish. And it doesn't matter what color he is because he's God and he's love. He's Jewish. He's Middle Eastern for one thing. But he's love. He loves us all. We're all made in his image. But yeah, you can't erase the history. So I don't agree with that. And so I hope they get that together because that's making us look bad. The left is going to use this and be like, see, he's racist. He's trying. Yo, this ain't a good look, Trump. This is not a good look, conservatives. And I need more black conservatives to speak out and be like, yo, we don't agree with that. Like, Trump, we trying to ride with you. You don't need to be doing stuff like this, making us look bad, sir. I don't believe he's racist. I believe he's there. I believe that sometimes, though they're not racist, they try to cover up the past because they're so much of a patriot that they're tired of the left trying to make everything about race. So they're like, just take away everything that would make them, preach racism and all that. But that's history. You can't take that away. You can only change today. And so I would disagree with that point. And I'd like to hear your thoughts and how you feel about the situation. So like, comment, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts below, and maybe we can discuss this a little furthermore. And Trump, if you hear this, please, even if you're not taking a picture out the White House, please don't do that. That's our history. But that's not where we are now, right? Black lawyers, doctors, and teachers, black excellent, but that was a part of our history. But I would say don't take it out the national park either. That's our history. My children need to see where God has brought us from, what once happened. Not to hate white folks, but to be like, hey, this happened to my people. But by God's grace, we overcame. We were resilient. God brought us out. And look where we are by God's grace today. And now let's love each other. Let's work together. Let's forgive. Because we're trying to please a holy God, and God is love. He said, how can you say you love me and you can't even love your neighbors whom you see every day? I'm a little bloated. So anyway, God bless y'all. Jesus loves you. Molly, you got anything you want to say? Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye. Wait, y'all see? All right, so like, comment, share, and subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Peace. Black conservative. Okay, so to give respect and context to the man in the picture, his name was Peter Gordon, also known as, well, the other name is derogatory, so I'm not even going to mention that one. Let's just say Peter Gordon, and Google says this about him. He was an escaped American slave who was the subject of photographs documenting the extensive keloid scarring of his back from whippings received in slavery. The scourged back photo became one of the most widely circulated photos of the abolitionist movement during the American Civil War, and remains one of the most notable photos of the 19th century United States. First of three known versions of the scourged back. And it says Baton Rouge, Louisiana, approximately April 2nd, 1863. And it was during the American Civil War. The photo of the scourged back spurred a number of different narratives, all of which were intended to illustrate the meaning of his portrait and privilege his photograph as a means by which to picture slavery and dramatize the need for abolition. So this photo is in support of abolition. The abolitionist movement. In 2013, Joan Paulson George wrote in the New York Times that the images of Wilson Chin in chains like the one of Gordon and his scarred back are as disturbing today as they were in 1863. They serve as two of the earliest and most dramatic examples of how the newborn medium of photography could change the course of history. Many historians have repeated the account presented in the 1863 Harper's Weekly article, which consisted of a collection of illustrations and a narrative describing Gordon's escape from slavery and enlistment in the Union Army as factual. A lot of these ex-slaves, no matter the hardship they encountered at the time from the white man, I find it very ironic that they did still choose to serve in the army. for their country, even though at the time their country was not treating them as citizens, and that a lot of these ex-slaves were in fact patriots and of the highest degree, because they worked for a country at the time that was not working or fighting for them. And these are the real unsung patriots of American history. And their story, it has to be told. We can't forget it. Even as conservatives and Trump supporters, we can't forget this. However, where the historicity of the photograph of Peter Scourged back and the narrative of his life and escape are well documented,